Good evening, everybody. How are you all? On Clubhouse, on Wisdom app, and YouTube, Facebook, couple of channels on Facebook, and LinkedIn, and Twitter. I kind of open all of the streams to just save some time for myself, but I also want to meet a few people that are following me. Had a very good day. We had uh, forest bathing this afternoon with my daughter and with my wife, and we were talking about it. And I was telling them how we should be in the present with the trees and elements of wind, noises of the birds, the greenery this time of the year, because we're in a river city, right, on the banks of Mississippi. So we have very beautiful green of the leaves, especially beginning leaves, right? So we were kind of being with them, and I was talking to my daughter and telling her about how we should really um, be with the elements so that we, being part of the nature, we are revived. So that is forest bathing. You go there and then you just let all your senses flow through them and don't have any other thoughts except what is in front of you. So that was fast breathing. Then I told her a story that I heard um, way back in Buddha's time. Buddha was mostly meditates and then teaches people and gives the knowledge, but he goes to one house every day, not just one particular house, one house in the village, right? And take asks for food. Basically, that begging is a part of the being a monk. So, but then each householder feels very honored that they come and ask them the food, and they happily give it to them, right? But that day he went to a particular person who was working, and he was occupied with some work, I believe. So he said, "Oh, I'm too busy. I can't give you food now. Go more to the next house." And he doesn't see that it was Buddha, right? And he was very much revered even at the time. So and Buddha calmly goes to the other house and asks for the food, and they give him the food, and he takes it and goes to the forest again. And then a few moments later, the householder who said to move on, his son comes. And they said, "Dad, did you know that Buddha came to our street today?" And then he realizes that he sent him away. And he feels very guilty because they all feel that it's their duty to feed these monks, right? And then because they're getting so much out of their wisdom, right? So he is very sad and very repentant, and he looks for Buddha and goes into the forest, right? And he could not find him. He spends all night, and the next day he finds him under a bodhi tree, sitting down and calmly meditating. You know, so this man goes to him, "Sir, I did a blunder. I sent you away. I'm so sorry, but that please forgive me." And then Buddha looks at him and says, "What are you talking about? Uh, I don't live in the yesterday. That is all gone for me. And I don't look to the future, but I'm living the present. So I'm kind of always in the present. So I don't have any uh, time in the sense of yesterday and tomorrow. So that's how I kind of liberated myself. That's why they call me Buddha, because I am the awakened one to the current realities and to the present. So that's a way to be in the forest bathing. Be in the present. Be in touch with what is going on. And in Manhattan, for example, some of the executives, that are working from morning till evening with computers, with the data, with telephones, with all sorts of artificial things, and then they go crazy. So they have arranged some spaces where they grew a little garden, beautiful flowers and trees, few of them, not much. But even that helps them if they come and stay there. But you got to be in the present. If you come with a lot of data and go on thinking about it and then go back again, you have defeated the purpose of having that forest bathing. Let the forest bathe you with all sorts of riches that it has, the sounds, the rustling of the leaves, the sounds of the birds, the light, the colors, the fragrances of the flowers, and beauty of the flowers, all that absorb into you, be present, enjoy them. And that is forest bathing, you know. So Buddha, the awakened one, awakened to that there is no time except that in my thought, and I kind of cling to that. Then there is a yesterday and tomorrow. They may remember the lessons of the yesterday, but they never go and live in the past. Okay, that is a very important thing. I want my uh, girl to appreciate. So I just showed her that's a relevant story. So I told her about it because it came to my mind. I'm just sharing with you because these days we have so many computer monitors, so many screens that we are working on, and then we don't take the break from the data to natural things. Like, for example, I have the flowers. I just look at the flowers, and that itself brings back me. I look out the window, and I have the beautiful light going on the immaculate lawns in our neighborhood, right? And I look at it, and then immediately I'm connected with the nature. If I at all lose the connection, but because the elements that are in us are out there, and then once you are in touch with that, then you have a congruence of the elements, which is very healing effect on our body and mind. So always get up in the morning, look at the sunrise if you can, or don't miss the morning noises, the morning chirping of the birds and all that, and don't miss the glorious orange color of the sky. And then in the middle of the day, just take a walk across the block and appreciate all the live plants, live flowers, and all that. And then in the evening again, don't miss the sunset if you could afford it, and that kind of thing will be good, right? So I just wanted to relate with you all that kind of forest bathing and its importance on our body and mind. Now, another thing came up this morning was how is that somebody came yesterday in my room and he was talking about how he developed his personality by himself, not through his father and all that. But do we really have to identify with the personality, or we want to function through personality but not become it, become of the personality? That's a key distinction in life because people tend to identify and think that they are the personality that they have built up through conditioning of their education or their parents or culture or whatever, right? Now I'm disputing that you are not the personality, but you use your personality to function in the world. But don't identify with it. Don't become the personality that you have developed. That's only a tool you have developed to go through the life. There's a lot of validity in it because when you think you are the personality, you are identifying with a thought structure that has gone through your head from your childhood till now. And then it is immediately going to change, then you're going to be, depressed about it. But on the other hand, if you are just looking at for what it is, a thought construct, then you will be coming out of it, and you will be settling in your awareness, not in your identities, right? And when you are in the awareness, it's much easier, and you're liberated from the constant changing thoughts, and you kind of be peaceful because your inner self is not moving, not changing, and is always there. So be aware, but use the personality. Don't become the personality and forget about who you really are. I thought when I was listening to a talk, when they mentioned this, I thought that was a very important thing to mention, especially with one of my friends came yesterday in Clubhouse. He was talking about, he thought be yourself means, that's what he thought, no harm. But then I just was presenting something completely different. The bigger self I was mentioning, right? So not the egoic or personality type, because personality has come from the Latin word persona. The people who are playing on this place, they used to wear like a mask of a king, for example, if they are playing a role of the king, and then they speak through that mask, so they come across like the king, right? But the personality mask is thrown away, you know and then your real self too. That's why the personality is something that is built up, that is used for our functioning in this world, protecting the body and doing the things with the mind and all that. But if you really think that is what you are, then you're losing out on your everlasting, not changing, fulfilled self. That is the big self, you know and that is part of the universal cosmic consciousness. And it's like, if you have sun there, and sun is reflected in the thousand glasses of water, each one will have that reflection. So, like that, the consciousness is all part of us, and that is the one which gives us life and manifesting body and mind. See, that is the ancient view, and I kind of tend to see that is really us, right? Because all the thoughts that build the personality are in our awareness, and we are not in the thoughts, but the thoughts are in our awareness. We are aware of them, right? We know that they are happening. We know that they are coming and all that. If you distance yourself a little bit from the thoughts, then you can easily see in your awareness thoughts are arising, staying on, and then going away. But the problem comes when you identify with the thought, then you are lost to the awareness that you are. So that's where the problem is, So that's why with personality, be aware that it is built up by the thought. It's a thought construct, and it is there for a function, to go through the life with the body and mind, and to make a living, to learn a skill, execute, and all of that, But if you judge people according to the personality rather than according to the inherent conscious being they are, then we see them differently and with inequality, good or bad, working well or not, all those things, right? But if you are really want to be human being, and then you want to identify people with that real self, then you will drop the filter of personality and relate with them at the same energy that we are all are in. That is a consciousness, right? That's a being. So it has got immense implications about not looking at somebody as others, but you're looking at as the brother, right? And then you won't be hurting them because they are you and you are them. at that energy, at that being, at that level of big self, you know. So that's why it's important not to identify ourselves with a little self of personality or the ego, but to really drop it and relate to people at that other bigger self, you know. And then you would have, that's actually very good for the ethics too, because if you consider all of us are in one energy, and you don't have to really judge anybody, and you don't have to really punish them for something and all that, right? So it's a very important distinction of identifying yourself from what you are, then what you developed as a egoic personality. Okay, and this also separates people to, they are different, we are different, our lifestyle is different, their lifestyle is different, our values are different, their values, all those things will come, and then we kind of divide ourselves. And the natural law is, when you are division, there are two things, so the inevitably there is a conflict between the two divisions, you know. That's why don't identify with a personality that is very dividing factor, for everybody, right? That's what I was saying. Okay, hopefully this makes sense, and actually it's a very practical thing if you look at it. You know, you can allow people to develop qualities that are going to be very good for them to make way through the life. You know, but you don't have to separate them just because they have developed at that level. There is a another level beyond our ego, our thought, our personality, and we want to be identified with that. That is the awareness, that is the consciousness, right? So I may be coming to the same point again and again, but then take a deep dive into yourself and look at what you do. Do you identify with the degree, or do you identify with the qualities that you have developed? Do you identify with certain tendencies that you have developed or mental habits you have developed? Then you are identifying yourself with the personality that you have created for yourself. But then you got to have people who are like-mindedness, who are people are like values, all those things come, right? But when you really identify human beings at the level of the being, at the level of the core light that really lighting our brain and our bodies, then you see everybody are in oneness of this self, right? And once you are there, you don't have to really have this divisive heart within you, which is not even good for you. Okay, that's how it is, right? So hopefully that makes sense for you, because it's a question of understanding uh, what is common sense, really, you know. So it's all a question of understanding that. Okay, I think there's somebody here wants to come up. I'm trying to bring him up, but somehow it doesn't work. Uh, he's going to his profile. Okay. Okay. Anyway, that's the essence of what I wanted to talk about today. And anybody wants to come up and talk about it, you are more than welcome to come up. The other person tried to come up, and I was bringing him up, but it did not work. You know, I don't know what it is. So cosmic is there, and then he would understand what I'm talking about. You know? See, one of the things I see is it's not out there is the problem with these divisions. It's also, it is the inward, how you feel about yourself also is the problem, because the more you have all the all the equality, oneness within you. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Dr. Ralph.
Yeah. So I kind of started 10 minutes before, so it's already 30 minutes now. Yeah, I think so.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just talking about I heard a talk this morning. They were talking about this. They were saying function through your personality, but don't become your personality because you have a real self behind the personality. I thought that was a very good way to put it. Even though I talk about it the same way in a different way, then that's what I was exposing now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I also heard it said that, I becoming a chameleon, right?
Yeah. It's not just
Change as
changing
you're
it.
needed, right?
Yeah, not changing it, but identifying is whatever it is. That
Yeah.
is the problem. Then you naturally will have division, and you have the division means there is a conflict and all that. The other thing is that keeps on changing. That's where you are saying the chameleon. That's the correct. But then it's not even changing to the colors, but identifying with it. Like, for example, somebody is a lawyer, and then he identifies with that role like that. Suppose you have developed like some tendencies from childhood. Somebody says, "Oh, she's a good girl. She has all these things." Then you kind of take those tendencies and develop a personality where you are a good girl and all of that. But that's superficial. You are a human being underneath that, right? The title is just came to you because of certain qualities that you have been displaying. But you are beyond that. That's what I'm talking about. The personality that is thought construct is not real, and we make the mistake of identifying with it. That is where the mistaken idea of how do you use the ego personality for function, and also not be with it, then you are real self. But on the other hand, if you identify with the real self, ego can be there, but it is not going to be your identity. you know it's a huge difference, because then you will not be uh, being self-centered, or doing whatever you want to do. All those things will not be there at all. So makes sense.
Yeah. Um, I I'm just wondering, if that's the case, like we're not permanent in any of those, but we can use it as we need it, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, that's the point. Exactly. That is when the ego becomes your slave, and then you won't be identified by your egoic nature, but rather your human nature. You see, and that's where people will appreciate you, because you are not the self-centered, important myself and all that, but you are looking out for the other people too, because at that level you are looking at the self. We are all in the same. The equanimity, the oneness comes, then it becomes much easier to let go, to forgive people, and all that. You see? And that's where you really identify we are all in the same energy. And that's what they call ekatvam, oneness. Oneness. And once you are oneness, then you say, okay, yeah, he is me, I am him. So it's kind of easy to forgive, easy to let go things, that kind of thing.
yeah, I coming to understand, but um, in terms of like how, like each one of the individuals, how would that figure into the world that we live in?
Yeah,
Right?
very simple. Suppose you are got up in the morning, and you kind of did the deep breathing and being in the present, and then you are really in that awareness that we are all one, right? And then you go to your office, and you have a job, but the job is done because you have a duty to do, but you don't feel like your egoic identity is doing that, right? It is being done through you. Then you do the job, but at the same time, you kind of let go the attachment to it in terms of results or what is going from that mouth. It's kind of liberating for you because you are doing stuff, but at the same time, you are not bound by it. That is the karma theory too. You are not bound by your actions, but then you do the actions because you have to do them, and then you do them and give all the fruits to either the god or somebody else, but you won't be identified with that. So it's like a liberating experience when you otherwise you may be very proud of yourself over the work, that is the personality is very proud of yourself, and somebody will come and put a needle in it, and then you are different, so you are subject to the what you call dvaita, raga, dvesha. That means attraction to something and aversion to something. You don't have the equanimity of both of them. So you suffer when it goes down, and then you are elated, it goes well, and then that relation also comes down. So you're subject to this up and down in your own perception, and that is suffering in a way. That's why the people who transcend this egoic nature have transcended suffering. That is, in this context, they said that.
Yeah, I find our whole process that we've been through, Dr. Rao, has been really, for me, has been like, life altering,
Yeah.
in many ways, right? Because, I'm finding this whole, process that I'm going through is just to,
that's the idea. That's the
yeah,
transformation is what is happening. Then you feel the energy within you, because the mind that bothered you before, the divisions that bothered you before, or that identifications that have kind of gave you this up and down movement is not there. So what happens is your happiness is proportional to your depth of your awareness. The superficial waves may be there for the thought, but then slowly they become very quiet, and restlessness goes down, but your mind is not dull either. So it's neither restless nor dull and placid. So what happens is you have the real peace you touch on, and then that peace kind of makes you very tranquil and harmonious with them. You see?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that.
I had longest time the struggle. You know how
Yeah.
if you are working for a company, like,
Yeah.
of course, with us it was the sales kind of structure, right?
Yeah.
So you always have to like aim for, whether it's the top and stuff like that. So it becomes a very competitive kind of environment, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I like when I first went into that kind of career, it was like very much a validation kind of thing that I
Yeah.
had to climb to be called a good advisor or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So I just feel like that thing is now, it's like it's been instilled in me. So breaking from that was hard for me.
Yeah. That's where it is. But what it is suppose you value that tranquility, that harmonization within more than this recognition, or somebody saying, "Oh, you are really good," and all that, because they come and go, they may change their mind. So people will lose seniority, lose recognition, and all that, right? So in a way, you are not allowing yourself to be subject to external. You do the work, you do the job because it is your duty, right? And you feel good about doing it, but you are not psychologically bound for somebody else's appreciation and all that, because in yourself you are really psychologically secure. And in that time, it doesn't matter because you are coming from the fulfillment that is achieved within you, not because of the external things. And then what happens is, whatever you take, you do it with complete full attention, full commitment, and then you enjoy what you're doing too. So there's so many benefits of being within ourselves and being really not dependent on outward things is a big deal, because people deal like suppose animals are there, you want to punch them, you want to kick them, you want to really to slap them and all that. But like that, if you do the human beings, they may want to be professional, they may want to be anything, but then they get hurt in their being, right? And that is really not needed you know
Yeah.
yes, it's a real thing, because look at what is happening in the corporation, for example. You are supposed to do stuff, and then you do stuff, but then you go on doing stuff, but then that's okay as long as you're taking care of yourself too. But why people are burning out? Because they may feel unjustified, they may be not properly given the encouragement or appreciation or some promotion and all of that, right? So all these inequalities that go on, basically what's happening is your being is not nurtured by you, or other people don't even care about it. But yeah, as you can see, once you are nurturing your inner being, or at least realize that that is self-fulfillment at the greatest level, then once you turn inward and do the inside job, it overflows outward to do whatever you want to do. You are not psychologically dependent on anybody, but on the other hand, you have so much nectar within you, you give it to everybody. Get it, Sanya?
Yeah.
And then you don't need to ask anybody. You are the source. You remember, I always talk about loving, not asking for love.
Mm.
Then what happens is, even if you have a partner that is not loving, you could be loving, and then that person automatically changes later on. If it doesn't change, also you are not affected, because you only want to live, give the love, because that is pouring from you, because the source is within you. But if you are dry, if you don't have that within you, then you beg for it. I will tell you an incident, I think very funny, very important thing. What happened was, we kind of, uh, what is that? J. Krishnamurti was visiting Delhi at one time. And there's this lady. She wrote a big autobiography after uh, of several years later. But the first time she met him, she was a very independent woman. She thought, and she fought with her husband and all that. And then she had a daughter already. But then they had, unfortunately, something happened. They were divorced, I believe. And then she was thinking, I'm standing very firmly, I'm a very strong lady, and all of that. So she meets Krishnamurti, and then he was talking about something, and then he said, uh, why are you having a begging bowl, Pupul? Pupul Jayakar is her name. Why are you having a begging bowl? You know. Uh, then she saw, out of the veneer of being an independent woman, strong woman, standing up to the men, and all of that, she's always feeling sorry about herself because she doesn't have the affection from anybody, you know, because she thought she will get the affection from her husband, and so she confronted and she distanced herself to everybody else. And then when he was not there, she felt really devastated, right? But out of the veneer, you can see that somebody is begging or not for love and affection. Why? Because they have not found that loving self within them, because they have never tried to. They always want somebody to be nice to them, somebody to be caring for them, somebody to be affectionate for them, and all that. But this loving nature is what I'm talking about. And once you are there, you are nurtured by it, and people around you are nurtured by it.
Yeah, this was when I first came into wisdom.
Yeah.
That was what I was going through too.
Yeah.
And so I totally understand what you mean.
Yeah, the circumstances. Yeah, that's how the circumstances behave, create, because the woman may be nice and good and all that, but still she is kind of being used as a thing and thrown away. Right, that is what happens in a lot of places. Not just you or anybody, but anybody like that. They get hurt, in relationship only because they have set up that relation to be way high than what it is. It's like suppose you have a glass bottle and you are carrying it, you drop it on the floor, it is going to break, right? The same thing with this very fragile ego that was built and is seeking, asking, and all that. That is transformed, right? Then you are not seeking and asking, but you are overflowing with the nectar because you found the source of it.
Yeah, I really appreciate this part. My sister still asks me, that question about loneliness, and I don't feel at all like that.
Yeah, I did a talk on this. You can find it. I talked about loneliness versus alone. See, what you need to do, anybody, you or me and anybody, is to. This is how I came to know about myself within, not my personality. Is deep within. Once at that level, they said this is oneness. We are all in one conscious being and all that, right? So once you are there, then you have to approach it with aloneness because only you can find it for yourself. But then once you find that you are with everybody, so your loneliness is gone. Loneliness is where you think you are separate from everybody, but that illusion is gone, and we find that we are actually all in one energy. Even everybody agreeing this now, but you got to discover it by yourself by being alone in this quest in yourself. That's what I was talking about: aloneness versus loneliness. And this is loneliness is terrible burden now. See how many suicides, how many things are happening. The neuroplasticity works in reverse in depression or loneliness, because they go on feeding that negative thing, frustration and all that, and they go deeper and deeper into that. And that's why they are not able to get out of that, because they kind of digging a bigger hole into the negativity. But how you can change is replacing those negative thoughts with active positive thinking as you go along. Then you become positive on the other hand. But then once you go beyond positive or negative, then you are really in your awareness, not in the thought. Thought can be used, thought can be functional, and but then it is not going to act with that separativeness.
Yeah, I don't relate to any those now, but I just, that is part of all of these, right?
Yeah.
That gratitude that comes from deep within you.
Yeah.
Is like a cooling gel almost, right? With everything, it's just like the way you see stuff is also different. The way
it is peace itself.
See you, it's different too.
Yeah, it is peace itself, Sanya.
Yeah.
You're not peaceful. You are the peace.
Yeah.
You are the happiness. And once you touch that, you don't have to have all these words, all these things, all this. Yeah. This is where I think the psychological independence comes, because you have touched that forever fulfillment, complete fulfillment, spiritual fulfillment, and not being associated with any particular religion and particular sect or thinking group or anything like that. So you're not arrogant, but you're satisfied quietly, and then go about your things much more with balance. So that's why understanding aloneness is important, and employing that to have a first-hand experience of ourself within is important. Then you will see that loneliness was a figment of my thought, but then I fortified it by being continuously negative about it, and then really enforcing it by going deeper and deeper. That's where um, we are trying to help the people who are depressed and suicidal. Um, must be able to see difference between thought versus awareness, because thoughts are happening and you are aware of them, right? You are aware of the thoughts. If you just slow down a little bit, you can be aware of the thought, and then you will see the thoughts are coming and going, you know. It's not that your awareness is in the thoughts, you know. Your body also, you are aware of the body, not the body parts are really aware of you, you know. So once you understand what is awareness, what is the truth about it, and land up there, then you have peace and quiet, because your mind is not running all over, especially not turning in negative, you know. I think I talked about this the other day. Breathe and sit straight, and then just watch the thoughts and then slow them down. Then you identify the negative and replace them cognitive reframing, right, into the positive one. And then you focus only on one thought and go beyond that thought, that kind of thing, you know. So if you are, that's what I was teaching you while I was doing that morning thing. Be in awareness means be here and now, you know. You missed a story I told earlier about Buddha on this aspect of it, because I will tell you again, because for your sake, you know. It's about Buddha's daily routine, and he usually meditates. And when somebody comes, discourses, and any questions he answers, he kind of enlightens them with any topic, so that their knowledge dispels the darkness of whatever they are going through, right? So he was very much revered even then. Okay, because here they have somebody comes to him and says, "My son died. Give him life." Then he says, "Go and get me water from some house where there is no death at all." You know, and she goes around, finds that nobody has that, so she understands the natural death and all that. That kind of helps him. But anyway, in this story, what happens is daily he has this routine of going and begging for his meal one time a day. Okay, and he will take only the food that the one house gives, and then he walks away back to the forest. So this day he comes to one particular gentleman, and then the gentleman was busy doing some stuff, and then he said, "Okay, move on to the next house, sir, because I don't have time." He doesn't even look at him. Who is that guy who came in asking for, um, uh, begging for food? What's the Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi? That is the thing they say. So that's an honorable thing for the monk to do, because he just to take what is necessary for him, and that's it. He doesn't go beyond that, you know. He doesn't think about how much money they are, all that, right? So he comes and goes, Buddha goes. Then this merchant's son comes and says, "Dad, do you know that Buddha came to our street today?" You know. And this man then realized, "Oh, it was Buddha who came here," you know. And he feels very guilty, because at that time they were like that, you know. They felt that it was their duty for them to feed the monks, because the monks are spreading the wisdom, and in return they have to give them this small food, right? That was their conclusion. So he feels very repentant and very sorry. He goes to the forest looking for Buddha, and then after one day's search, he finds him under the Bodhi tree meditating. Then he goes and stands in front of him, tells him, "Sir, I want to talk to you." And then Buddha opens his eyes. Then he says, Well, something like, I'm very sorry, I didn't mean to neglect you. I'm very sorry, I don't have any excuse and all that. So he's very repentant, sorry, and all that. Then Buddha says, what are you talking about? It happened yesterday, and I don't remember yesterday, or I don't project into the future. I live here and now in the present. So whatever that happened, it is gone. So that's why he is awakened to the presence within him. And that is the Buddhahood that everybody has. And we can do it. But then it's all a question of understanding the what is past thinking, what is present, what is future. Why do your mind is going all the way? Why do you identify with the mind that's going? Why are you not in that awareness that sees the mind going that way and this way? You see, isn't it a good story, beautiful story?
Yeah, I that's like yeah. The teachings you've been yeah. Kind of
Yeah,
taught
yeah,
me.
Yeah, being the present. That's a,
so, which is
yeah. In the morning, you see, we never used to have conversation, a long conversation, anything like that. We got into the doing physical exercise and getting our mind here and now. And after that, once we established that exercise, then we had questions, where answers and all that. So that kind of being in the present is something we can easily do every day. And then what happens is those circuits that are going back and forth through the past and the future, they will be cut. And then you are going to be using all your faculties in the moment of whatever you are doing. Then your quality goes up. Then you will be not having the burden of all these memories or all the projections weighing you down. You see, that's where the liberation is, from that time that we create to ourselves. So presence of ego or personality kind of ties you to the time, not tying to the personality and ego, and knowing what it is and letting go the hold that they have on us is when you allow the ego to function, personality to use it for function, but not identifying with them, not becoming them. So that is the topic of this room today.
Yeah. I appreciate that because yeah, I mean it was like really tough for me to move in between, but as we practice and practice every day, yeah. Those that moment, yeah. I
And that's where the time also very important in the morning when we do that between the night and morning. What happens is very vulnerable to get on the thought stream and go. That is what's happening with this information overload and technology and all that. People can employ this caution, and then use that mind much better with the technology. It's not the technology problem. It's how we make enslavement to the technology. We don't use it and leave it. We kind of develop a mental habit, and then they think that is okay. That's where the I don't know, you heard my digital toxicity lecture when I said, if you allow it, it becomes toxic. If you don't allow it, if you just use it, like I wrote a book on self knowledge, yesterday and today, and there's a lot more to do, but I wrote it and I came out of it. But then I was using the chat GPT and then editing it and all of that, right? But then I have this let go because I established myself in that awareness. So it's easy for me to let go whatever I do. I don't hold on to it. I don't hold on to it as though it's my identification. I had something to say about self-knowledge. You got to understand who you are. That is the theme of that, right? So I was explaining it different ways, and also illustrations and all that will be provided. So if you look at it, you can easily understand. But if you do it, then you will get the real thing. You see, like that in the practice also, If you understand what I'm saying, that's one thing. But if you are doing it and having insight from doing it, then you become of that. That's why keep quiet, don't say anything, just do, be aware of what you are doing. That means you are stalling the thought, you are being aware of the present moment, of what is happening there. So the yoga practice also improves sanya when you do that way, because you are stretching with awareness, with knowing what's happening with the stretch, which part of it is much more demanding nourishment than which are not, or which are at the point of breaking down. So don't do them like that. But when your awareness means you are looking at the stretch and everything with feeling in that movement. Don't think something else when you are doing that. That's the point. And then it's very difficult when you're in a trying period, like something happening with you in that time, and then you have to face that situation. For example, that is the weakness of the thought, not being able to back to the awareness. So what happens with the deepening of awareness, you become strong, psychologically really established in that. So you become immune to the vagaries of the life. So there are innumerable benefits. There's without reason they did not survive, they did not function, they did not do anything very well, because they have seen the universal truths very easily. They're not caught up in their own network. So it's a happier life, more capricious life, and all that.
Yeah, I I and I'm trying. I'm not in as much on the social media.
Mm. Yeah,
Maybe
even
this is
even if you're on the
point that
social
I want to
media,
talk about.
you can identify very easily what's going on between talks between two egos, or two really people who don't have that much hold on that, but they can really relate to the inwardness of it very easily, because they are really in touch with their own inwardness. That's the thing, right? Otherwise, it's all verbal, it's all showing off, it's all good, really, how much knowledge you have and all of that. So what if you have it, if you don't have peace in your heart, if you don't have love in your heart, what good is it? you know so people may be satisfied because, "Oh, I know so much, I can tell you so much," and all that. But what are you? Are you peaceful? Are you loving? Are you joy? And all that. See, I have come up with this new thing. I made these videos. At the end of it, I put this one: to live long, to live well and enjoy, and to have inner health, inner wealth, and inner happiness, contact me. So
Nice.
yeah. So you'll see that in the videos that I made. I have to put it on the Substack and all that. A couple of them I did put in, but I really mean it though. Because it's not poking fun at anybody and thing, but actually just take a moment and think about that. Am I really living well, and am I going to live long well, or am I going to survive with the medications that they're going to give to me, which is the case with a lot of nursing home patients? And do I have any fun or joy in my life or not? That's the first question, right? And the second question is, I have accumulated so many things, so much of money and all, which is what I see with a lot of my doctor friends, right? But they don't have this inner health, in the sense they are taking medications for anxiety or sleeping, or some people for depression, or some people because of the medical illnesses that they have allowed to develop. So they don't have inner health or inner wealth. Inner wealth in the sense that you don't depend on external things for your joy and well-being, right? And then they don't have this inner wisdom also. Okay, that's why they don't have the inner awareness, inner happiness too. It's not that I'm pointing out, but I kind of compassionately feel for them when they come to me. But this is something you can think of. The people may just read it as a slogan, they may miss the point. But the people who look at it in the sense of, is this applicable to me? Do I have this? Then they can take action to correct it. That's my point.
No, Dr. Rao. I recently, like, I've been noticing, like, my thoughts are, like, uh, kind of like coincide with different people and different things. Sometimes I feel like I don't, like, when we say one, right, is that mean one thought as well, meaning that everybody thinks alike of sort?
No, no, that is completely different. People may have different thoughts according to so many factors, right? They could be having something capacity of having original thought, like a scientist and all that, or they may repeat something that they learned from their parents or from their society, from their own education. That's all fine, because if you are doing something with a thought to improves life or contribute to the life, replenish your life, that may be okay. But if you are just allowing some thoughts, not really helping anybody, but just some kind of pervasive thing that people are entertained or something transient, but this may not be good for their mental health, right? So many things are there. But the essential thing is thoughts happen to us and they change from morning till evening also they change. So uh, at the thought thinking level we have the same maybe, but then different capacities. But at the thoughtless alertness, that is the awareness, we all are the same. We are all having the life. We are all having that aware of the thought or the life or anything around us. But all this can be different, that somebody thinks differently, it doesn't matter. They can think differently, we can, because we have to experience and all that. But judging them as though they are different from us is a mistake, because we are branding somebody by one thought they have or 10 thoughts they have, versus what the energy underneath that's having the thought is the same as ours. That is where we are oneness. So you and me, I could be talking about so many things because I have entrance, I have interest in that, I have exposed to that. Okay, but you can be having different things because you grew up in a different part of the country, different culture, and all that, right? But then, as the culture developed, people try to adapt to what is seen around them and kind of want to have like-mindedness and all of that. Then you're still functioning within the network of thought. Once you break through it, then there is a liberation. People can have different thoughts because that is where it is also shown to you that you are the awareness. One of the tests they give you to is you see something, and then you have seen that is a process, and then there is somebody within you who sees that. The question is, who is that is seeing within you? Is that thought, construct, ego, and personality, or is that original alert awareness? And that is constant with everybody. So once you understand that, then thoughts won't bother you. They may come, then you watch them. Suppose you are coming from one culture, I'm coming from one culture. What is practiced in your culture is not agreeable to me because I was fed like that's not a good thing. But then for you, you were raised on that. That's a good thing, right? That happens all the time. Middle East people or Asian people or even South America people, when they come here, they carry their own cultural things, right? then people may take offense to them and all that. But if you can see the oneness between those people and you, and what they are doing is not really that offends you that much, because you know, oh, okay, suppose you are eating with hands, which is very common in India, right? You got to eat some of things with hands, only you cannot handle with a fork and all that, right? But you are doing it with the fork, and then you judge those people like they are something below you, then that is the problem. You got it?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah. Go beyond the thought, go beyond your own opinion, go beyond your own judgment. And then you will let go of those things. Then it's so much easier to embrace people that way. You remember when I see my patients, all this drop for me because I say namaste, which is I'm really identifying with the being that they are. At the being level, we are all ekatvam, oneness. And once I have that there, then they can have different habits, different colors, different sexes, different nationalities. They're all dropped. I don't have the filters anymore, right? So it's so much easier for me to accept the human being in front of me and come from my own human beingness. And then they also feel that, because your energy of judgment, your energy of separativeness will be shown in your facial expressions or body language or your tone of the speech somehow. So you're not coming from the love that comes from this, recognize this oneness. You are coming from that separative ego or personality, which you may think higher or lower, whatever it is. You know, then there is the fear, there is this hatred, and mildly they come across, or they may say, my time is more important than yours, so I'm going to monopolize the time and then make you answer everything quickly. Sometimes I don't even listen to you. That is what happens with the patient dissatisfaction. Most of the time they say they didn't listen to us. That is the first complaint I hear usually. So you cannot hear because you are occupied with your own conclusions, right? So how can you hear other person when you're like that? And who is that making those conclusions? That is the personality, that is the ego I'm talking about. Put it to rest, identifying that's temporary, that's not really there as me, but is there to function to me as something needed, then it will have its own place.
Awesome. Mhm. Hi, Ivy. Hi, Sadvar.
I think he's Sattva. His name is Sattva. Hi, Ivy, Sattva, and MT and TG, Tushar. Yeah, that is awesome. Sattva is a very, very good name, because sattvic nature is when you have a tranquil and harmonizing energy within you. Okay, the foods, the talk, the music, all those things can enhance that, tranquil, harmonizing energy. And you need that to take this inner journey, you know. So, very, very important thing. I'm glad he named himself like that. It's a wonderful thing.
So when are you gonna go to India next, Dr. Rao?
I don't know. I may go because I was waiting for some things to happen. Right now, India, obviously, every day I'm in touch with India because I call my sister and the people, right? So I come to know a lot of things. But what they're telling me is it's very hot this time of the, because usually May will be very, very hot, but this time it started in May in March, and it is much hotter now, I believe. That's one thing. So we may not be able to do much, but we have a plan. I told you, right? What I wanted to do was I want to take a journey along the important centers for ancient wisdom. You know, not the temples and all. They may be there, but then, like for example, I want to visit birthplace of Shankara. He's like a Oh my God, he died at the age of 38, I think, something very early. But he produced enormous work and then revived so many ancient things, and his commentaries and all that really fabulous. His work is like um, you can't imagine one person did all that work. So he's a significant figure in that, ancient wisdom and this oneness and all that. And then I also want to visit J. Krishnamurti's place again. I was there one time, Madanapalli. The purpose is this: we want to make a travel of all these significant things that I thought that really made a difference for me in understanding. And I want to go there and present that and also give the commentary. That may be easily digestible. What do you think, Sanya?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And any timeline on that?
Yeah, that is what we are. No, that's what we are figuring out, because the places I want to see are from southern tip to northern tip. Okay. Usually, if you go there, if you stay for a week at least, you can really get the feel of the place, enjoy. For example, southern tip of Kanyakumari, that's where Vivekananda sat and meditated for 3 days before he wanted to come to West. Right? There was a huge rock in the middle of the ocean, and then that is away from the shore. Right? He swam there and sit down there, and then he meditated. That is Kanyakumari, right? They built up a big, statue and all that for him. He's an enormous figure because he was one in 1893 on 9/11, September 11th. He came to the Parliament of World Religions and delivered on a lecture on the ancient wisdom and all that, right? And he was very instrumental to get that kind of thinking into Western hemisphere in so many ways. And now I have also other work I'm doing. What are the Western minds that were influenced by ancient wisdom? Fascinating. So many people, starting for so many, I'll mention all of them. That was something new education for me as I went into the field of consciousness. 1980s and 90s, really, this side of the world, the West, has woken up to that. But before that, even in 1800, there are so many Western scholars, Schottenheimer, for example, and from Germany, and then so many people I'm not getting right now, but I have put them down and have instigated. There was one article I wrote. 18 scholars that were really influenced by the ancient texts, all of that. So that is one thing there that is there. But then what I wanted to revisit India was, suppose my children wanted to understand what it that was so enamored about this ancient wisdom. So I want to take them there and show them the place and also give them a narrative of my understanding. And maybe I'm still a student, by the way. I'm a student of ancient wisdom. So maybe I will learn more new things and all that. But one thing is for sure is all the riches, all the knowledge, whatever it is attributed to me, that did not give me the peace and happiness that I enjoyed. This is the insights of the ancient wisdom. And that is not just for us only, it's for everybody who wants to look at it without identifying with any religion, country, and all that. You can learn a lot about that. Unfortunately, a lot of modern people, including India, they are kind of distanced from it. So maybe that's another thing too. I could show them, hey, this is fabulous. Yeah, did you see that Kung Fu Yoga or something like that? Jackie Chan made a movie with India going there.
Not sure.
Yeah, Kung Fu Yoga, something like that. Very adventure movie, right? In that, they go to this place where they kind of make into that is a treasure hunt like. And then what the treasure they find is this enormous volumes of texts of ancient wisdom, right? Jackie Chan says, hey, this is something very useful for the mankind. We should protect it for all of us. And that is really true. It's not just one country, but I'm saying ancient wisdom anywhere is very valuable for us. I happen to know a little bit about Indian thing and what value it is, especially as a physician. I kind of changed my complete perspective. You saw me doing yoga and everything, and then that's very easy for me, right? But if I don't do that, then I would have aged like everybody else, right? So now is I'm not a burden to anybody, and I don't stop working. I don't stop contributing anything because of that. Okay, if you take a basic level, right? But then enhancement of human being, they have done much better job of understanding what it is. We understand the chemical and the microscopic aspect of the human being, and we can run the engine better. But what is it that is riding the engine? They work very hard, okay, and they have seen that through their meditative awareness, which is much better intelligence for the inner exploration of anybody, okay, by themselves. You cannot point out and say you'll be like this. We have to be like that by understanding it and going through it. That's why these inner senses are first-hand experiences. The sciences are first-hand. We have to do it. You cannot take somebody else's finding like outward, like you say, okay, Earth is round, and that's inside by somebody, and then we understand, oh yeah, it is really, and then we can verify it with so many other experiments. That is objective data, right? But this is subjective inner environment that you got to go into it by yourself. So that is not going to be understood just by you reading some books or understanding some talks, and you will understand, but you won't feel it. In here, you got to realize and feel it. That is where I want to take. I already have so many places picked up, but then they said you cannot do all of them in a year also. So I said, okay, we'll do some few on the north side one time, and the second is south side. But before that, I have already compiled what are the places that are important to me and what's the lesson I'm talking about. That kind of thing. That is a very simple ebook I can do. I have all the data, but I just have to put the figures and everything. And also maybe I can put some travel information so that people find it easy, that place. And it's all there. Right? Everybody can find it. More than that, my focus would be why it is spiritually important, what is the lesson involved, how we can really experience the lesson. That's what I'm talking about. You know?
Yeah, I, I myself, I like the mountains.
Yeah.
I would love to see the Himalayas and
Yeah, they're yeah, there are.
as well, right?
Yeah, now it is very easy to go to the Himalayas, Sanya. You can take a lot of conveyance planes and all that. Before it was very unreachable, but now it is very easy to go to this place and stay there, and you can get good. They kind of domesticated them in a way. But like for example, there is what is called Manas Sarovar. There's a very important lake in the foothills of Himalayas, not down, but on top of it, and that is a very significant place, but we are afraid that they may spoil it with all these, um, hotels and all that, but actually it's supposed to be very pristine thing, so I included that, but we may not be able to do that. But what we want to do is at least three or four important places where we do a travel log. Some of them remote, some of them are mainstream, and then we will go there and then show the what is real Indian culture, where it is surviving, and how those people are. So we talked about the other day how these villagers are so spontaneously smiling at you, and they have full of joy. Even though they don't have 3 meals a day, they are full of joy, and they smile at you with a complete disarming smile. So you really fall for it immediately. Here you cannot see that because the faces are always like kind of contorted, or all the inward things will come out in the faces, right? Thinking all the time, right? Not being free. Yeah. Hi, Kanan. How are you?
Sorry, go ahead.
He's up, so I was going to talk.
Good evening, Doctor. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm having a good time. I'm having a chat with my friend Sanya.
I always listen to you. I'm mostly in the listening mode most of the time.
Yeah, that's fine.
You pick me up, I thought I'll just come over and say hello.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, sometimes some people have comments too. That's why I invite them. If they want to come and talk to me, that's fine. But if they want to listen, that's fine too. Doesn't matter. I'm
mostly in the listening mode.
Yeah.
Of course, now I shifted to your time zone.
Yeah.
Easier for me. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a evening for us, 7 o'clock, right? So,
no, it's now around 8 o'clock here.
Yeah.
8 p.m. 8 p.m.
Okay. You are in the Eastern time, probably. So.
Yes.
Yeah, and now it has got normal because I have people working for me from India, from England. So there are people who call me from Australia and New Zealand. So I have to put this world clock in front of me, so I know what their time is just by looking at it. So I know it's an ungodly hour to call them or not. I think the best thing it is I text them. You know. So they will see whenever they can see, and then but I do the reply right away as much as possible, unless I'm sleeping. So it works out that way. Now we have become a global village. I'm very happy about it because I was always talking about being the world citizen and all that, right? But now I'm really enjoying that because most of the people are like that, at least the ones I contact with. They can have affection for their country, but they don't have this divisive separateness like, oh, I belong to this, I'm patriot to this country. All that, I don't have it anymore. Mhm.
There are set of people of that type also.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore it. I think it's becoming a world citizen is quite different thinking.
Yeah. I think that's the actual reality. But then everybody moves away by constructing something like their own divisive self and then identify with it. And that is resulting a lot of fighting, a lot of violence, a lot of wars, and all the monies, everything. People don't care about the people who are starving, but then they care about the arms factories and selling all the arms and making money and all that. So that's the way it goes. Sanya, anything else you want to talk about this or?
No, I was thinking earlier when you said, when I was doing yoga first time, kind of intensive, right? Like I had a frozen shoulder, and so, but it's like I certain release, right? I became more flexible when I got home for some reason because I don't have any after something happened to me, right? I don't feel the pain or the heavy emotions and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have the psychosomatic and there's somatocyclic too. I was talking about this in another room this morning. They were talking about tapping, some technique that you tap on that. So it's like a acupressure, they were talking about that. Then they said by tapping, we can really all the psychological things. Yeah, that's true. It's yoga also. What you do with your body can influence your psychological inclinations or tendencies or mental tendencies. versus what you employ, being more aware and less of thinking. That helps your mental tension to ease, and thereby corresponding body tension also goes away. So, but then when you are really aligned with all the things, like you aligned with your breathing, you're aligned with your time being in the present, and you are aligned with your, really oneness. That means you don't have any thoughts of divisions or separations and all that. It has the tranquil feeling within you, and that tranquil feeling affects the body quite much. Otherwise, you are driving the thought and you whipping it down. The mind will go on restlessly. That's where you get the highest stress hormones derivation. That's why stalling the thought, that is the yoga's main thing, is chitta vritti nirodha. That is stalling the thought. That's very important. That means not become dumb, not becoming like kind of suppressing the thought, but understanding the role of thought and where it is useful, where it's not. Not allowing it to be unconscious and compulsive, but more like a intentional and conscious and here and now. If you can do that, then thought will be very effective for you. Otherwise, it kind of builds up all this, tensions.
How would you define, like, or help me understand in terms of intention, right? A lot of people talks about intention.
Yeah,
but
I don't mean intention in the sense of thought oriented. I mean intention, be conscious. That means you are with it, you are attentive to it. Okay, you are not thinking something and doing it, but you are doing it, allowing the doing to happen smoothly in flow. In flow means you are alert and aware, but very little thinking, really. So it's not intentional in the sense of cognitive will. It's a kind of being in the present, doing with that kind of flow. you know. See, there is something about happiness. The equation is, um, if you are having happiness and you are trying to achieve it with the thoughts and also the awareness, then really, when you are really out of the thoughts and you are being aware, you are really blissful. See, whenever somebody asks me, "How are you, Dr. Rao?" I used to say, "I'm blissful." What does it mean is, I don't have any active thinking going there, but I am there with them. I'm aware of them, I'm aware of their topic, of what they're saying. I'm aware. I can listen to them too. Instead of bringing my own conclusions, I can listen to what they're saying. But after that, I may say something because my understanding may be something different. It doesn't mean that they have to follow me and accept me and do that. No, they also just listen, but then they want to prove their point. Then the thing, okay, you, that is what you're understanding, this is my understanding. So what is important is agreement to disagree, more important than asserting that we are right. I don't have to prove anything, right? You prove everything to yourself, Sanya, in this thing. So why do you have to prove to something else, to somebody? Then it's a kind of diplomatic, hurt feelings, all those things come. So then they cannot take the truth for themselves. You can't understand truth, like Jack Nicholson says. in the, you know what, in that Tom Cruise movie. Yeah, Jack Nicholson. So. Yeah. I don't remember the title, but he says, you can't stand the truth or something like that, he says.
Oh, I see. Okay. I think, the Jack Nicholson one.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson says to Tom Cruise or something. Yeah.
But because I now don't have the thoughts floating around.
Yeah.
I kind of like a little bit sometimes, I was just like.
No, that's why you don't want to damp it down. You just want to let it come, watch, and go. That means you become deeper in your awareness, right? You are not suppressing, you are not attacking the thought, but you are aware of the thought arising. You are aware of the thought traveling. You remember sky in the, the cloud in the sky, and then watching
it's
it.
not that, Dr. Rao. It's
Yeah.
just like I have to think about it for it to come.
That's fine. That's fine. You see, you want to use the personality and ego for that because to function through. What it is when you come, do you want to be in awareness or do you want to be expressing what you think is the truth, what is only somebody else's thought? It may not be the truth. So, what it is be in awareness and use thought. I use it all the time, but I'm let it go. That is the thing, probably you may have to exercise. Like, you remember, I was quoting Krishnamurti on this. He saw a tree alone, standing beautiful on the meadow, right? And he enjoys the sight. And then he let it go. See, that's where he was very effective to showing immediately thought comes and makes image about it. Oh, how beautiful it is, how that was compared to other one, all those things. That is the stalling the thought, not deliberately with force, but understanding this whole mechanism. And he always talked about meditation happening and keeps on deepening. As he wrote his notebook, I think that's some book you should read it. He writes about an evening that he spent there, right? And he went, saw the tree, and then immediately whatever. So when the thought comes up, when the thought has no role, he kind of shows very easily. But if you're already fortified in thought structure, that's where meditation helps you. In the meditation, all these things that are buried are there will come up, and then you can really be in that meditative awareness. See, I told you several times, my meditation is not episodic, like I work all day and then go meditate. No, my meditation through the work all the time, even now. It is the meditative awareness, so that I'm going to be in the awareness where thoughts will happen and will go, will be quiet, will be not really taking hold of me. So I can think, but I can let it go.
Yeah.
Don't make a business out of this. Just be with it, and then you will be fine. Okay. If you make a business means that I have to do this to get this and all that, even that also within you becomes business. So what you do is you just live it, you know, and then you will see whether you are able to or not, and then slowly you will go towards that.
Yeah. I I also submitted the yoga instructor program thingy. Yeah, so I wanted to get a little more involved in that.
Sure.
Yeah, so that way I can, expand.
I don't know, you want to expand. You want to expand in thought, but in awareness, you go deeper.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But,
like because as we practice and not only in advancing the body part, but also perhaps learning different things. And like I wanted to, I mentioned to you, right, for Sadhguru's program, right?
Yeah. They focus on the
so
Hatha Yoga much more. Hatha Yoga much more. And then if you want deeper, they go into that, different way, But it's like a constructed program, so they do excellence of their own things, But somebody like me goes there, then I'll find fault with them with so many things. That's why I don't want to go there. So uh, it's a question of getting exposed to deeper truths. So when you go to other people who are not there, then you can easily see that. So but they are doing their best. So it's a good thing to go and visit the place also. So they have done that. She was, that they built it up. That is Mahadeva. That was fantastic, really beautiful to watch. And also that Gnana Linga, that's also very much so. So Sadhguru worked very hard for those things.
Yeah, so
But there is like a lot of places around that they take you, the villages, to show you Siddha and Ayurveda and other things. That too should be interesting to you, Sanya. You know, they take you as students to those neighboring places. They show you temple construction, then they show you Ayurveda, they show you Siddha medicine, and they teach you that too if you want to learn about that.
Yeah, so I think they cut out the Siddha part now. They just did the Ayurveda.
They did? Okay, I don't know. But at one time I saw them there.
Yeah, I saw it too, but I think, I don't know.
Actually, Siddha is very tough because, yeah, it is not like, even Ayurveda also, they reduced it to some Aushadhas, Mulikas, and all that. But there's much more consciousness related activity in Ayurveda too. There is one person I know in United States, in New Mexico. He's very much very involved in deeper, real Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, doctors are called Vaidyas, and he's a real Vaidya. Very few people are left really on that.
Yeah, it's just also finding the place that'll actually enable us to produce certain things, right? Like,
yeah, it depends upon
organic stuff, right? And
yeah, I think the time and the things go to another. Some people go repeatedly because they can't get enough of first time. So it all depends upon what your background is and all that. So
yeah, so hopefully.
For me, there's only one direction we need to go. That is inward. I don't have to travel or anything like that for that.
No, it's not just that. I know that, from understanding up to this point, right, is that inner.
Yeah, it is that taking the journey within. That is the important thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to go anywhere for that. You can do wherever you are. So.
Yes, that part is true. But I love traveling, Dr. Rao. And of course, I always wanted to go to India. So
yeah, I have traveled a lot. Yeah, that's really true, because when you want to see the world, when you want to go there, it's nothing like going there and living with them. That's really wonderful to do. But Krishnamurti showed me how to take vacation within my own mind every day. Vacate the mind. Simple.
Right? Yeah, that's awesome. Let's do that room. Did you do a room already on that?
Yeah, I did several times. I told people on the vacation what it is, how to vacate. Actually, I get the feeling of it in the morning when I get up every day. Before it's like burnt with a lot of things, but I understood what he was talking about. You see, this Raja Yoga, this is yoga, king of yoga. What it does is it turns your mind on itself. Mind studying mind. Okay? For that, you cannot go anywhere. You just have to have that understanding, knowledge, and capacity to turn within. Once you have that, then you can see wonders that are there within us. So, by the way, look at my videos on the mind management. I made a 5-part video. Okay.
Where is it?
It's on the Substack.
Oh, okay.
I think I posted the first one. The rest of them are all done. But
I saw something on Facebook. Is that what it is? I didn't. Yeah.
I don't know how it comes. This community I'm in within, they are made me start Substack, and then I was putting the video. I'm not putting as rapidly as they are doing, but I kind of put two or three. One is giving does good for the giver. That means you be giving attitude, like that video I put it there, and the next video. Now my videos are pretty snazzy, like really looking good. And then
That's good.
they are very good, very well done.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see it because I saw the link on. I think it was in Facebook on the mind thing, but I didn't realize it was what it was. But
yeah, I'm become so
Substack
busy.
Is a newsletter, right?
Yeah, newsletter, but then they also post these videos. Okay, so they kind of, I didn't know about that, but they introduced me to it, and then I have made a lot of videos for the sake, but I have not posted. I think I made 20 videos in the last few days, but I have not posted all of them there. I will, because I want to also write a brief note and something like that. That is also happening. So we'll see.
Awesome. Way to go, Dr. Rao.
Yeah.
Video.
I wrote, like I said,
I'm looking forward to it.
like I told you, I wrote a lot of articles, 50 articles at a time. And then I have, I think, 5 books I wrote in the last 1.5 months, maybe. But then I got to design and edit and put them in there. So somebody sent me something about how to publish your own book and all that. That is, I'm going through this afternoon. Probably I'll get my books done finally. And yeah, I told you a couple of titles. The second chance is about my stroke and the recovery, and what was the unique thing that I learned about medical system and also ancient wisdom, how it was useful for me and all that. I wrote it there. Hi, Jacob. How are you?
Bonjour. I'm good.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
How are you, Dr. Rao? Nice to see you.
I am very blessed. I'm chatting with Sanya. So we are exploring.
Hi, Sanya. Hi, Kanan. Hi, Bernardo.
Kanan said he's in listening mode. That is fine. So. Yeah.
Hello, Jacob. Good to see you again.
Bonjour. Nice to see you.
Bonjour. Where are you, Jacob?
I'm in Toronto in my living room. I just finished a acting orientation with a gentleman named Larry Van Buren Jr. He's a 26-year-old guy on CSI Miami and some other stuff, and just a great guy. Awesome. And I literally just finished that. I opened Clubhouse and I'm like, Dr. Rao, awesome.
That's great, Jacob.
Yeah, fellow Canadian.
I went through Toronto, and it's a beautiful city. I was going to Niagara Falls through Detroit. My friend and me, we were traveling. So we went through Canada and Toronto. We went through that. So we loved it at the time.
Well, next time you're here, let's have some lunch or something.
Yeah, this was back in the 80s when we were very young, me and my friend. We were adventurous mode, so we kind of took to Canada. That way.
You're overdue for another trip, Dr. Rao.
Yeah. But a lot of Canadian. Sanya is from Canada, and there are 2 other students also that checked me out from Canada. Very nice people.
I'm in the west, in Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Jacob, have you come?
Yeah, Vancouver is awesome. My older brother lives there. I did the canopy walk one time, which is, it's like a walk among the trees, walk among the treetops, it's called.
Yes.
And it's quite incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I like, of course, you have to try all these new stuff. That's you too. When was your last trip here?
Maybe a couple of years ago. Vancouver's a beautiful city. It's amazing. Yeah.
I love Toronto too. I was there for training for a couple of weeks. So it was great. Mm-hmm. I like that. We were stationed in the Hamilton area, right? So let's go. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
I digress.
And if you're ever in Toronto next time, let's have lunch or something.
Yeah, for sure. I have to look you up. Message you on Club Mode.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, that has become a good text thing. These days I'm getting so many messages on there. So I answer them. A pretty good communication there. Yeah.
And now you should put more of your links up every time, Dr. Ralph, so people can also take a look at what you're doing currently, especially what you mentioned.
Yeah, somebody was working with me. Her name is Fran, and she was showing me how to repurpose all the old thing. But then I have so much enormous material since 1985, right? And also the videos are from even lately 2020. January, I began to do the weekly Zoom meeting, and that have become that one day, every day, something like that. Even these talks are also there, and then they are kind of author as used to record, and so there's a lot of documentation. I don't know what to do with all of that. But me is like a present tense, here and now, and explore things as they are. Right? It's not like a teaching rather than encouraging people to explore with me. You see? So this approach of making some material to be learned versus experiencing that material with insights is important. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Otherwise, what happens is we will say, oh, it is there, we can get to it, we understand. No, whatever little thing you not only question like it is yours and like it is your problem, and then get to that insight of that, and then make that happen, allow it to happen within the life. And that is where real, otherwise, will always be uh, like a library, put it on the stash, put it on the web, in the bookcase, and then let it be there. So that's why after a while you come to that where you don't want to read the books, you want to live the insights of the books. Think about that, Sanya. It's a very important thing. All these courses, all this giving, and all of that, they become kind of second hand then. But if you, like I told you, those Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana, where when you listen without any reserve bank within your mind. That means intellectually you are available to take in the stuff. And then after you listen to it, take it and think about that particular thing and come to your own truths and insights. And then once you understood and once they are really appreciate that, the important thing is allowing that to happen. That is where the meditation, all these things come. Big thing in Vedanta, but then I think that is very simple. Um, People are eager to do stuff right away. That is something practical. That they want to not to lose the chance of making money. Something like that. That's fine. But then, what about the inwardness of it? That's important, right? That's where I think I'm very sincere about it. Lots of, we don't do it for anybody's sake, just for our sake. We are sincere of doing it, then we'll discover something. Some things may be horrible. Am I like this? But some people, something like we are ignorant. That's why we are doing it. Now that we know, how can we do this? You see, there is a poem that we repeat all the time. You might have heard of it with me, Sanya. It goes like this: Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Prutyorma Amrutam Gamaya. What it does mean is you are appealing to the universal force or God, whatever it is, saying that lead us from unreal to real. That is our real self from our not real small self, right? Lead us from unreal to real self. And then lead us from darkness to the light. See, we are in the dark because we don't know what is real light within us, which is self-luminous. That is the real self. Lead us to the by eliminating or by removing our ignorance through inquiry and all that. And the third thing is lead us from death to immortality. The body and mind will die anyway, but the real self is always to come to that real self, to get rid of what is not real, what is temporary, which we hang on to. We need to have that knowledge, and that's why the knowledge happens when you allow it to, those understandings of yours, allowing to happen.
Yeah, I had that invocation too.
Yeah, you can anything to really visual cues or something like this. That's good in the when you are in there, but eventually turn inward. That's the main thing. To reading books, quoting people, and all that may help, but it will take you away from that real thing. That's all. Anyway, it's already 7:30 some. So we will take leave now for today, Sonia, Jacob.
Okay, sounds good. Good
Jacob.
to see you, Jacob.
Yeah.
Nice to see
Are you an actor then?
Yeah.
No, not yet, not yet. But I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated. And thank you,
Yeah,
Dr.
you have to come to, of course, North Hollywood, right? Vancouver.
Well, hopefully one day. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice to see you, Jacob and Sonia.
Nice to see you, Dr. Al. Thank you again. Nice to see you both. I hope you have a wonderful night.
Bye-bye.
You too. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, Dr. Rao.
Good night, Sonia. See you tomorrow.